Hi. We made it.
Hello.
We overcame the technical difficulties.
Yeah, it was my fault. I was so
No, it
I
literally
was gonna start earlier, but I lost track of time.
Not your fault at all. It was StreamYard's fault for some reason thinking my microphone was a speaker.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to the stream. And thank you to Chris for being a guest host. Did you want to introduce yourself, plug something, nothing major that's coming up on the horizon for you?
No, my life is so boring right now. Sure. Well, hello everyone. I'm Chris. I make YouTube videos too, and I have a book coming out in the fall, if you didn't know. And we revealed the cover this week. So it's been a week. Yeah.
Can I put the cover up on the screen?
Of course. Not us starting this stream with like advertising. Sorry, guys.
But it's not an ad because I read an earlier version of this book and seriously, I don't think I've shut up about it in the years since.
Which is crazy because the book is different. The book changed so much in editing, so yeah.
And that is okay. But I feel kind of fake sometimes because I read such a different version, but my love has persisted. And I've been waiting all this time so I can read the final version as an actual book, which is going to be so cool. And it's coming out right around my birthday. So
oh my God, yeah.
Is lining up. How do I do this? Am I dumb? I'm sorry.
Present? Or...
Yeah, it won't let me do it because I have the other thing. So I'll just take that down because that is not important right now. I just found the Goodreads page. Sorry. But this is the cover for people who haven't seen it. It is such a work of art. Beautiful colors, bi-colors.
It took a lot of versions, guys. I think Karan, our artist, started working on it in October, and it was being edited all the way till February or something like that. And actually, if anyone has arcs, because you can request digital arcs on NetGalley now. This sounds like a freaking ad. Sorry, guys.
No,
this was not planned. I did not know Lynn was gonna do this. You can request digital arcs on NetGalley now. And if any of you get approved, which I don't control approvals. I don't know if anyone's gotten rejected yet, but I'm sorry if you do get rejected. Blame my publisher. It's not me. You'll notice that the cover looks different in the digital arcs because the cover was not finalized. We were editing it all the way to the deadline, basically. So yeah, there's slight differences in the hand and the liquid. But it went through so many versions. There was an early version that was extremely Art Deco. And it was crazy. It was gonna be gold, it was gonna be a whole thing. And we obviously went through a lot of edits. So yeah.
I mean, the work was worth it because I think this is and it's such a unique cover too, which I think is very important. You want a book that stands out on a shelf, doesn't look like every other thing. I don't know. It's just so perfect. I'm so glad it got
such a very colorful and very neon vibes. So
yes. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still figuring things out because I'm a grandma. It's funny though because in a school setting, I'm fine. I can handle technology at school, but the minute it's streaming, I just don't know what's happening. Okay, so before we get into all that, oh my gosh, StreamYard is my worst enemy.
Our faces were so big
and cut off. I will also briefly introduce myself for those who don't know me. I guess I'm Lindy Jung. I also make videos about writing and stuff. And my book is coming out in a while from now. So I don't even want to.
Guys. Next year. Is there a Goodreads page yet?
No. I think it's for us, it would be the publisher, and I would imagine they'd want to do it when we have a cover because we.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it basically, but yeah.
It's still a while out.
I also haven't been looking at chat. Wow, there's so many messages. But if anyone has asked a question. Oh, everyone's just saying the cover is beautiful because it is. It's so beautiful. Oh, Ari's here. Hi, Ari. So nice to see you. Well, not see you, but feel your presence in the stream. Which is maybe a weird
That's
thing to
so
say.
spiritual. I feel like we're in church right now.
Also, Jasmine. I've been like getting more spiritual in my advanced age, I think.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. But
That's
like
so
I'm not particularly religious, and I never really have been, but I would say, yeah, my closest faith is definitely Buddhism, and that's very light. Like I just had a very unique experience where I lived in a Buddhist temple as a teenager, so it's
wait, why don't I know that? Your lore is crazy.
I do have some crazy lore. I think I've mentioned it. It was so long ago, but Ari has a question. Okay, let's just answer a few of these, I guess, and then go into, I don't know, sprints. I'm so close to finishing my revision. We'll talk.
Yay!
Okay. Question. I'm going through it with Act 2 right now and have such a hard time with pacing and making small problems for my characters to solve. Any advice for Act 2 woes?
Act 2 is such a... Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, it is.
No, you go first. You go first.
It's just hard to diagnose when like you don't know the specific story, which I know a little bit about your project, Ari, if it's the same one, but I feel like I don't know enough to give specific advice. I think for me, a midpoint twist is always a game changer because then you can like do something different. Act 2's drag when you're doing the same thing over and over again. And I find that happens in a lot of like quest narratives, which I'm pretty sure isn't your book, but I was just thinking of a book I read recently where it was like little side quests endlessly for probably 100 pages in the middle. And I was like, where are we going with this? So identifying purpose and then having that purpose switch a bit in the middle is good. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Like every book is so different, I feel. I do think that a midpoint twist is something to work towards though, because I feel like that has always made Act 2 much easier. I find that Act 1 is easiest for me to write because I actually really like setup. Whenever I have had Act 2 issues, it's usually because I feel like I'm not working towards something. So I always try to identify like basically where the story starts to turn. Like it's, I don't really like to use plot twist, but like revelations that characters make. And like kind of like what is the emotional like centerpiece of the story. I find that like, yeah, I don't know. I just see it as like a destination because the ending itself can feel too long. Like it can feel like too far in the distance. So I don't know. Like I don't know anything about Ari's story, but I have found that with my current book and my last book, writing Act 2 was a lot easier if I had a midpoint twist, like something that's not the climax, but that like ramps up to the rising action, basically.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like that progression or sense of progression.
Yeah,
that kind of leads into things. Sorry, I'm like still arranging my space. So
you're good.
You might see me like messing with things or hear feedback. Yeah. Hopefully that answered your question a little bit, Ari. It's so tough though,
and honestly, like I'm going through a draft 1 right now, and it's okay if it's bad, y'all. Like it's okay if it's not like perfect on the first try. I think like I've just kind of accepted that, and it's like everything can be fixed in revision. So
I feel like that's real growth for you.
It is.
You have such polished early drafts from what I know, and
I don't know. You're gonna be so disappointed when you read Act 1 of The Floating House. You're gonna be like, wait, what happened to her?
Impossible. Oh, okay, I already read part of it and I was over the moon. Like,
that's true.
So
you read for the first 2 chapters. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm so excited for that project. Okay, another question. This one from LDJ. LDJ is always in streams. It's so nice to see you. Okay, what do you usually do after you finish a draft? Do you go straight into editing a new project or take a break? I don't think I've ever taken a break.
I don't even know what a break is. Yeah, I don't know. So for me, it kind of depends. Like I think the first 2 books that I wrote, I just kind of like set them aside because I didn't feel as passionately about revision. I guess my 3rd book was different because I decided to query it, so I went right into revision. I think with my next book, I probably won't take a break because I'm gonna write it and then just send it to my agent. Like I'm not really gonna wait because like I think in traditional publishing, like you're kind of beholden to external timelines and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer though. It kind of just depends on like how you feel and like what your emotional bandwidth is. Because I do think there's a merit to stepping away from a project and coming back to it.
Yeah. I agree. I think with some projects, I need that more. In some projects, I need it less. But I do need time away. Like I can't go straight into a revision. So usually I'll end up shifting focus to a new project because I don't like not writing, or something else in my life demands attention, something I've been slacking on, which is currently my situation. And I'll shift focus into that. But it really is just like trust your intuition, trust your instincts. And I think that, I mean, like it's interesting because I come on here, I like to teach writing to some degree. I do it a little bit less now, and I'm giving all this craft advice, but at the end of the day, it's like you have to follow your own gut instincts and your intuition, and like that's what makes craft so interesting and personal, and this is a part of that too. Like, will you need the break? Will you need to set it aside for 6 months even and revisit it later? Like I've done that with short stories. I'll shelve them for a year. Back to them. Yeah. But a novel is a little bit different, especially on TradPub timelines for sure. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of panic around. Like, okay, I have to put something out in every year, or like, people are gonna forget.
It's constantly like, oh, I thought that I would feel relieved after I sold the first book, but I actually just feel worse. I feel like I'm kind of like under a gun to like turn around the next thing. Otherwise, you like lose that relevance, which is not true. I think that is just kind of in your head. But yeah, it's really hard because publishing is slow, or it's like a hurry up and wait in industry, as they say.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I had some thoughts about that because I have a 1-book contract, and I don't know if it's okay to say, but you do too. And there's like pros and cons to accepting like multi-book or pursuing multi-book versus one. And I just feel like the time crunch and the deadlines for having multiple books under contract would have been too much for me, but I'm still feeling that pressure for some reason. So I'm like, what?
Like, I'm so what are we doing? Like I am on a contract. I'm not.
So what was the point of negotiating for a 1-book contract? It is what it is. We'll make it through. How do you organize world building? Is it a web, a notebook, or something else? Oh, baby, it's just in my head.
It's fine.
It's slop. It's not organized.
Okay, so for me, the initial brainstorming it's usually like, so my weird process is like, it starts like messy in a notes app usually, or like in a notebook, like something really free form. And then I organize it in a document. I brain dump in a document. And then that usually happens over the course of months or weeks. Like it's usually a long time, like just whenever I get ideas. And then when I have a lot of ideas, like then I start to organize it in a more like organized document. I don't know. And in the past I have like, done like a web just to kind of like get my thoughts together a little bit more. But once I'm actually drafting, I like the world has to take shape like as the story demands it to, I think. And then as the themes come into focus. So I don't really refer to my notes past like the halfway point of a draft, because I feel like I hold everything in my head and then everything just has to get cleaned up in revision. And that's just how I write. It's like very, very instinctual for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think I am also very like led by intuition. And a lot of the world building details outside of like the vague. So, okay, MOTHSBLOOD, set in the modern day, has a magic system based off of alchemy, and I half-assed it the first time around. So like I did not put a thought into it. I did a lot of historical research, but I didn't collect it into a cohesive form. So I'm doing a lot of that work now. Maybe I shouldn't confess that, but like the details, I have to see the story before I see those world building details, because it's just, and I respect and I love books where the world building details are like the sort of main, not selling point, but at the forefront of the story. But that's just not how I tend to write my fantasy. But with a secondary world specifically, I think historically I put a little more effort into that at the get-go. So
I think we're like in the exact same boat. Whereas like our debut novels are like real worlds. Mine is real world-ish.
Give or take a couple things.
Yeah, it's and then our second, or the books that we're writing right now are secondary world, and we're just like struggling through it because we're like religion, geography.
Yes. What do things look like? How do people dress? What is like, how do people talk? That's so I feel like we talk about this all the time, but we are living parallel lives somehow.
We really are.
So weird. I love it though. At least we're not alone.
I know. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna. There's so many questions. I'm so sorry.
Maybe one more.
Yeah. Do you want to pick one?
Oh no, it's a quick one.
Oh. I thought you said I'm gonna pick one. I was like,
oh no.
Yeah. You can though. It's definitely allowed. Well, I lost where I currently was. Okay. World building question. What's a quick one? That's not a quick question. I'm looking at some and I do want to get back to them because they're good questions.
We can get back to them.
Take a long time, yeah. Ooh, tips for writing consistently and for when motivation is low. Is that a quick question?
I think so.
I chose it because Marve is also saying I can relate so much to Ava's question. It's so difficult to keep a routine as someone with ADHD, and like same.
Yeah.
The routine has never worked for me. Habit works.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible, especially like if you have a life outside of writing, which most people do or should. Like even just a personal life.
Highly recommend having a life, guys.
Life gets in the way. So I think for me right now, what's working is I just had a vlog go up yesterday that was I've been doing consistently for the past month plus 30-minute writing sprints every weekday and 45 minutes every weekend. And that has worked really, really well for me. And it's probably the only reason I'm not panicking over revisions right now. It's like life. So building a habit, it doesn't have to be that, but just like something where it's like, well, this amount of time or this like 1 page a day is so manageable and small that I can't make excuses and skip it, because I think that like self-talk, kind of telling yourself, well, like, no, I just have other things to prioritize today. If it's a small goal and it's achievable and you do it every day, you're going to get more done than if you write for like 7 hours every 2 weeks. And
I think it is a habit thing. Like it's kind of like, I don't know, I always compare it to exercise, where it's like, oh, if you don't, do a little bit of exercise for a while, you start to kind of feel it in your body. And I think the only time I started writing consistently was when I basically built it up like a muscle, like I feel, because most days I don't feel like writing. I don't like writing, guys. Like let me just put that out there. I usually hate it, but I think it's like my motto has always just been like, on the days where I really don't feel like doing it, I commit to even like 5 to 10 minutes. And then usually within those 5 to 10 minutes, I get into the flow of the scene. Or if I don't, I allow myself to like step away from it. I read before I write. I read something good, like something that like makes me excited to write. And then the other thing that I do is I try not to start a writing session on a blank page. So like when I reach, like if I'm at the end of a scene, one day I'll try to write a few lines of the next scene so that when I sit down the next day, I have a few sentences or I know what I'm going to write for the day. So stuff like that helps me. But also it's like, just like, don't beat yourself up about it if you can't get yourself to write for a day. Like, it's not over, you know? I'm extremely behind on the draft that I'm writing right now. And I'm just trying to tell myself, like, it's fine. Like, the world's not going to end if my draft is late and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
And especially if you guys don't have deadlines, like, just write at your own pace. Because, like, yeah, you really don't have to rush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely, yeah, if you're not in the situation where like other people are counting on you to finish writing by a certain point, then like you don't need to punish yourself over a missed day, because I mean, like, everything is balance, right? And part of that balance is like being gentle on yourself and forgiving yourself, and like a habit is good, but it also, like, there are days when I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna work out today, actually.
Yeah, like today's just like not a day where I'm feeling it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you try to like push it on days where you're really, really not feeling it, then that's, it's not going to give you the best words. But I guess, wow, I'm losing my train of thought.
You're
like
good.
time change messed me up so bad. I'm still
Oh my
not
God, yeah, I
recovered
hate
fully.
spring forward. Like,
why are we doing this?
Why are we still doing this? Like, I want to die.
None of us are farming anymore. I mean, people are, but not in the same situation or setting. What was I going to say? Okay, with ADHD, part of the issue is like executive function, so it's hard to start tasks. So I think that habit and not talking yourself out of it, that's good for that specific thing. But also, like, don't push it at the same time. Okay, perfect. So, do you want to do a little sprint here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, amazing. What? I think StreamYard changed its layout because I feel more inept than usual. Okay. How many minutes are you feeling?
We can start with 20 and then see how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So we'll do 20 minutes. See you guys on the other side. Oh, jeez.
Oh my god, I thought that was like, was that the timer?
It was the timer.
Okay, I thought that was like you like your window was open and the birds started chirping. I was
Oh,
like,
I wish.
whoa.
I wish. They were out like a couple days ago, but right now it's really gross outside, so I haven't seen
It's
them as
pretty,
much
yeah,
today.
it's pretty gross here in Toronto too. I
Yeah,
feel
we
like I
have,
don't
like,
hear birds chirp in the city.
Like ever?
I don't know. My family, like my family's from the suburbs, and I always hear nature stuff there when I'm there. But yeah, I don't know. In Toronto, depends.
Maybe like
I hear
pigeons.
dogs barking.
Fair, yeah,
stuff
true.
like that.
Oh my gosh, Midwestern weather is so wild. It was like 75 like yesterday. Fahrenheit, sorry.
I don't know how much that is. Is that cold or hot?
It's hot.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It depends. Okay, 75 is like, no, to Celsius. What the heck? 23, 24.
That's hot.
So
to me,
yeah,
that's hot.
right? To me now, that's hot. Back in California, I'd be like, that's, January. But
oh my god.
But like now it's dipping back down and it's gonna snow on Sunday, allegedly. So I don't
Oh wow.
know what's
It's been
going
pretty
on.
warm here in Toronto.
It's
like, yeah.
It's been warm, but like for a little bit. Like it'll spike and then go back down. So we're getting all of these like high pressure. I forget which one comes with heat, but all these like pressure changes.
Oh wow.
Anyway, how I like hot weather. Well, I like hot weather if I'm near water because I love going for like a swim when it's hot out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always perfect. But if it's like when I was living in Thailand, it was pretty far from any water, and that made
oh my
me
god, so
kind of
humid.
So humid and just like beating sun. Like
yeah.
the sun is
oh my
actually
god,
like
I can't deal with that kind of weather. Yeah.
How was the sprint for you?
It was not bad. I didn't work on book stuff. I was like drafting an April newsletter, but I think I'm going to do book stuff for the next sprint.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah.
That actually just reminded me that I have to send a work email, but I will do that in 1 second.
Not on a Saturday.
Saturday is my one day a week that I don't physically have to go into work. I work 6 days a week otherwise across various jobs.
Oh my god, you're on
so I end up doing a lot of catch up. It's killing me, dude. Like I need to quit.
You deserve rest.
I do. And it's starting to like affect. I'm a pretty like happy, like cheerful person, and I like my job. I like working with kids, but I'm starting to be like not at school.
You're losing.
I'm always happy at school, but yeah, with like my other part-time gig, it's not fun anymore. And like I'm the kind of person where if I'm gonna work a job, like God bless people who can just grind, and get their paycheck. And they don't have to like, they just do their thing. That's my partner. Y'all are stronger than me. I need to have fun or I just can't. Like it has to be either my coworkers are fun or like the work I'm doing is fun or meaningful in some way, or just like an office job, I think is, I don't know. I'd rather work food service, and that's really saying something.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around all throughout the chat, but we have a little congratulations on Local Heavens Arcs for Chris, which again, if you missed it, in case you missed it, available on NetGalley, right? Are they available on like Edelweiss?
I haven't heard anything about how do you say it? Edelweiss yet. I know that one is for booksellers and like librarians, stuff like that. I don't know if that one's up yet. I haven't gotten the link for that, but yeah, the NetGalley ones went up this week. Yes. I don't know like what the approval denial ratio is right now. But I've seen a lot of people been getting approved. So if you sneak in there, if you use NetGalley a lot, you might get approved and you can read it early, really early.
Super early.
Yeah.
That's good though that they're getting arcs out so early. I think Bindery is pretty generous in terms of who they approve.
They give a lot of time. Yeah.
Ugh. cat hair floating around like pollen.
Oh no.
I'm used to it. There's like a whole conversation in here and I can't find the start of it.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna go to the top. Oh, Joy is here. If you're still here, Joy, hi. It's good to see you. Dami is also here. And Tia was here and then popped out. But hello to everyone. Hello to all our friends. It's so nice to see the community gathering.
Friends.
Gosh. Sorry, I'm like actually all over the place. This is I'm sane. I'm alive.
Oh no.
Was Jung. Whoa.
That's you.
Called me that. Please call me Lynn. But that's, it's fine. Was it supposed
Is that what your students call you?
No, they call me Miss J.
Oh, okay. That's cute.
Isn't that cute? I spell it like Blue Jay too, because I'm a little hippie.
Oh, wait, that's so cute.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird because my dad's name is actually Jay, so I kind of feel like I'm stealing his identity, but I just feel like Miss Jung is so weird. I don't like it.
It's so adult.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, even though I'm pushing 30. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, I was gonna answer this question. Okay, I don't usually play music, but I'm open to it. If you guys want to hear music, I can do that. What is the efficient way to learn to write? Should I start with short stories or what?
There are no rules.
There are no rules.
No rules.
Diary entries, short stories. I feel like the first thing I ever wrote was a book. And I
Me
just went for
too.
it.
Yeah. I will say, like, I don't think short stories are necessarily easier to write. It really depends on the nature of your ideas and like what kind of ideas excite you. I'm actually really bad at writing short stories. And it takes me like years to finish a short story.
Like same.
I'm so bad at short fiction.
No, but your short stories are so good, but like I understand it takes forever, and I'm so impressed. There are people who write like enough short stories to fill an anthology or collection, and I'm like, gosh, Rachel writes so much short
literally
fiction,
Rachel.
right? Oh my gosh, calling out Rachel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you should follow your ideas. A lot of people had really good advice for you as well, but I wanted to throw in our 2 cents. Oh my gosh, so many messages. Okay. I pointed out the part that said local heavens arcs and then got distracted and forgot about the question on this. Chris, I need
your brain. I can also pick out
cooked.
Questions. I don't think I can
absolutely.
Pin them, though.
But anyways, let me know. So this one was, how do you flesh out an idea, not a premise that is primarily character or thematic focused? Ooh.
An idea.
This is like ideation and inspiration questions are always interesting to me because I don't like, no judgment if this is not you, but they just like happen to me. Like while I'm driving or in the shower, like little bits and pieces will come to my brain and I'm not even consciously thinking about it most of the time. So I feel like I'm very bad at giving like any advice based around ideas or like developing ideas.
Yeah, I think it's such an individual. I feel like brainstorming is almost like spiritual, like for me at least, because it's not even something that I think about consciously, like you're saying. I think for me, if I don't have a premise, I usually just like collect. Like I always write down ideas. Like if it's like, oh, I really want to write just like something set in this kind of world, or I really want to write like this trope. Like I will just kind of collect it and then try to find slowly if there's any if any of the ideas connect, and I kind of just like stitch together a premise, but it's not something that I like sit down and think about, yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah. I guess follow like threads of inspiration too, so if an idea does pop into your head, kind of like trace it. I don't know how to explain it without a concrete example, but
yeah, maybe we need an example.
Yeah. Like, for example, I don't know, maybe, well, I can talk about Crips, I guess. That one was very like, that started out with World, but then I had to like build in characters, and I was like, what do I want to? Well, it
Wait,
started out
Lynn, I
with
can't.
World.
Sorry, I think your audio cut out for a sec. That might have just been me. I don't know.
Okay.
You're back, kind of.
Okay, you can hear me?
I can hear
Is
you.
it
Was that just
okay?
me, or did she cut out for you guys too?
Let's see. Not both of us coughing.
I know. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
No
okay.
judgment here.
It might have just been my AirPods.
Oh, that is okay. AirPods are they're like not
boo,
good.
Apple, boo.
Yeah, I don't know why people are so obsessed with them. I'm borrowing my partner's right now, and they fall out of my ears for one
they're not
thing.
comfortable.
For another, yeah, like how would I exercise with these? I wouldn't. They would go flying into space. I feel very unfiltered right now. This is dangerous.
We're just gonna start like saying stuff we should not be saying. Anyways, yeah, you're talking about Crips.
Yeah, I was talking about Crips. I feel like the characters in that like went through a bunch of iterations, and it was just like I would sit there and I would like hallucinate what the story would be like with this version of the character versus like that version of the character. So you have to like follow the pathways of what that idea would do to your story and how it would change it. Does that make sense?
We can only talk in vagaries. I'm so sorry. The other thing though is that I find that I get a lot of ideas when I read other books. Yeah, like that really pushes me to like especially if I find something that I really like the way this was explored. I feel like I could, do my own thing with it, that kind of thing.
I think I get a lot of inspiration, or less so now, but there have been points in my life where I've gotten inspiration where I'd read a book that didn't execute something the way I wanted. And so I'd take my idea for the execution and like adapt it into something without like, taking the premise and the setup. But yeah, and that goes with like film and TV. Like, the fix-it fan fiction is a thing, right? It's almost like that, but to a much smaller degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people, especially in movies and TV especially, so many TV shows I've watched have just completely dropped the ball. And it upsets me.
I get really frustrated watching stuff, and I'm like, they didn't do the thing I wanted them to do.
Exactly. Like, put us in the writer's room because you people aren't doing
in the writer's room.
I want benefits.
Oh my god, dude!
I want health insurance.
You should never watch a TV show with me and my brother, because like we'll every 5 minutes we'll like pause and like workshop the entire freaking episode. Like,
that's so
we're
cute.
So annoying. Like, we don't enjoy things. I need to start enjoying things again.
It's hard sometimes. I was watching Game of Thrones all the way through the first time. I didn't even we didn't watch the very last episode, and like I would just be yelling at the TV, like
Game of Thrones,
yell at sports. Oh my gosh, the last couple of seasons, it just was so
the last few seasons were crazy, and not in a good way.
Like, actually, some of the decisions made in those writing rooms, like I would like to see who was like, yeah, let's do that. That makes sense. I don't know.
Stop this.
I can't believe that show was like pre-pandemic. Like all of it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, it's a lifetime ago. I've erased it from my brain. That's how much I did not like the last part of it.
That's fair. It's pretty bad. Yeah. Are you watching, or had you been watching like the new?
No, I haven't. Nothing has gripped me enough to check it out. I don't know.
I have been a little bit gripped by the main actresses.
Oh, well, them, yes. I mean, yes. Like, yes. But sometimes, like, just hot people is not enough to get me to watch something.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Hot people and dragons.
That's true. Maybe you're convincing me.
I haven't watched it at all, so I'm literally talking out of my ass. Okay. A couple more questions. Any advice on how to get out of writer's block? I've been writing academically for school, and I can't write anything for my books. Ooh, okay. I rescind my former advice. If you write academically, it's so hard to write creatively. Also, in tandem with that, I think just write academically. But like, I don't know. They are different parts of the brain for me, but it's just so draining to write academically. Like, I truly can't stand it. Maybe like separating it into days where you write academically and days where you don't. And again, like habit versus routine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like it's hard to toggle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to like block out separate days.
Mm-hmm. How long did your current agents take to respond to your full manuscript requests? Okay, so an agent is typically the one who sends a full manuscript request. I think this is what this user meant, right? And then you would send it, and how long would it take?
Oh, how long did it take for them
from
the moment they received it to like their final response?
I think for me it was like a couple days.
Yeah, it's gonna vary a lot because if it's the first, yeah, okay. So for me, agents will move fast if you have an offer. So I think the first agent had the full for, I want to say 2 weeks. I don't know, something like that. But then the agents who request the full, after I told because that first agent ended up giving me an offer. So when I notified other agents about the offer, like a whole bunch, I don't know, 8 to 10 came back, and they all responded like within a few days because they're like, there was like a deadline there. So agents will move faster if you have an offer, but I think the first agent, maybe a couple weeks for me.
For me, it was very fast. It was under a week for the first agent, but also my book was really short, or like relatively short, especially for adult fantasy.
Impact.
Yeah, and I think the time of year, because it was like start of summer.
Actually, yeah. I was querying in the summer too.
Yeah.
So
it all really depends. But like agents are people too, and there's just so much. There's so much to do in that job. Like it's actually such an insane position. Yeah.
It's like queries are like not even the second or third priority in their.
Oh my gosh.
In their
I would not be able to get 2 queries if I were an agent.
Yeah.
Like there'd be so much other stuff. So much other stuff demands your attention. So it'll take as long as it takes, but that doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It just means that.
And it also doesn't mean like your book is bad or whatever.
Yeah. It's speed is not like an indication, I think. Cool. Wow, these are I'm so far back in comments that it's still about the Fahrenheit and Celsius thing.
Oh no.
I need to okay, I'm gonna go a little faster. Oh, this is an interesting question. Hi, is an arc exactly like the book that will later be published, or is it meant to be changed with taking the arc reviews into account?
So I think it will depend, but it's not really gonna like, no one, like the author or the publisher is not gonna like read the reviews and then be like, someone didn't like your ending, go fix your ending. Like my book comes out October. This book goes to print in, I think, April. So it's like, yeah. And I mean, unless something crazy happens, like maybe you wrote something like catastrophically offensive, like maybe like that will affect things, but I don't think that things really change because it takes a long time to print books and to distribute them and have them inside of bookstores ready to be put on shelves. Like it's a long timeline. Is the book exactly like what will be published? No. So if you have a digital arc, that is, I think, up until that's like the copy edited manuscript. So the book actually, there was another last round of edits, which was a proofread and a cold read, I think. So like lines still got cut and like small little changes to words still happen. So it's not 100% the same, maybe like 95-99% the same.
Yeah, that lines up with like what I've heard. I've read a fair number of arcs, but I don't think I've ever read like the final version for any of the arcs that I've read. So Although I do actually have a copy of one, so maybe I'll look at that. But yeah, it seems like it's, unless something is really wrong, then it's mostly like little things.
Actually, fun fact. Okay, because Lynn knows this whole saga. My cold reader or my proofreader, there's a line. Okay, guys, I don't know what chapter it's in. It's towards the end of the book. There's a line that I think my proofreader flagged as like something that could be triggering in like just the way that it's phrased. And I like the line. I love the line so much. I ended up like going back and forth for like a week or something. I asked Lynn, I asked Kelly, I asked Rachel, like, guys, should I cut the line? We all decided to cut the line, but I think it's in the digital arc. So if you get an arc, you'll get to read that line, but it was cut. And a lot of the things that like get tweaked like in these later rounds is like around sensitivity and like clarity and stuff like that. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Process. So the arc is like exclusive.
Yeah, kind of.
Line. Bonus content. Everyone go request the arc right now on NetGalley. Make it the most requested one in the history of NetGalley.
Yeah, no, yes,
yes, they do. Oh my gosh. I should just request it. But I feel
You've
like
already read it.
I have, but like I could read it 1,000 times, honestly. This is a quick one. How long did The Fall of Esther Park take? Because you're talking about short story length.
Guys,
literally ages ago. Thank you. This was my.
Is it free to read? Can people read it?
Yeah, it's free to read on.
Oh my god, guys, you should read it.
What's it? What magazine did it come out with? I feel so bad. Apparition Lit.
Oh, Apparition. Yes.
No longer is operating as a literary magazine. I think
so sad.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of greats shutter their doors, but this took me like less than a week, and then I just submitted it. But like that only ever happens like once in a blue moon. Like all of my other short fiction, I have waffled over and agonized over, and it's just been such a pain. But this one was special. It came to me. I was like, this is great. The voice came to me in the structure, which is it's structured like gossip, because I was really interested in like gossip and mythology and how those things correlate. So I don't know. It just like all came together and it was like magic. Has not happened since. So yeah. not a common representation of my process. It is. And I'm glad it was my first like published short piece.
Yeah.
Any short story writers you really enjoy reading or collections you love? Never Whistle at Night is Indigenous dark fiction. Really love that one. That one's gotten a fair bit of buzz too, I think. And Tommy Orange did like not the prologue. In a short story collection, it would be like the introduction, maybe. Like that part where it's not a short story, but they're like, here's what the collection is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And from the introduction, I was like, this is going to be awesome. And it was.
Wow. I don't know if I read enough short fiction to know any collections off the top of my head that I love.
I've read some hits and misses.
Yeah.
What else have I? But I've been like really in my lit fic kind of era, so I think I've been
lit fit bag.
That's one where I think I enjoy reading it because I'm like, I could never write this, and so I just get to enjoy it without like worrying too much about.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to read fantasy sometimes because I get into like the comparison game. Yeah. It's really difficult.
All like speculative fiction in general. I'm just like, oh my god. Like I can't turn off and just be like a reader. Whereas literary fiction, I'm like, this is something I'll never write.
Yeah. It's a vibe.
Even though I literally had a literary fiction publication this year, but like it is an old story. Like I'll never write pure literary fiction ever again.
I mean, you never know, but yeah, I get what you mean.
True.
It's I don't know. It just feels like such a different world, and it's like its own like subculture in the author social groups as well. Like it's a very separate group. I have a couple like lit fic friends.
Yeah.
Like all of them have MFAs. I don't know.
It's crazy.
Why?
Yeah.
All the MFA people go there. It's because they low-key get bullied into writing literary fiction if you go through a program like that. Like most of them are like very much genre fiction is lowbrow, which I don't agree with. I kind of understand how those programs get that perspective, but I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I'm
used to
saying
be like
stuff I
that.
shouldn't.
I
That's
used to
fair.
be like, oh, genre fiction's like, I didn't think I thought it was lesser. I just thought like, oh, if I want to be like, you know, taken seriously,
Mm.
yeah,
I
I
think
had
there
a
is
lot
a
of bias.
degree of that socially, like in the broad scheme of things, but also like genre is so fake that it doesn't,
Yeah.
it's so arbitrary, it's so not real. I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, Marvy says, what's the difference between writing a short story and a novel? I think this will be our last question before we do another sprint, maybe. I've kept you captive for a long time, Chris.
No, you're good.
I always hear people talking about how different they are. So I don't know. You can go first on this one. I feel like you have a good perspective.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like a novel is like, there's a lot of components that you need to build a novel. Whereas like a short story for me, at least, is like just a lot more an exploration of a single idea. Like maybe not a full premise. Like it's a lot more atmospheric, and like I think you can do a lot more experimental things with a short story. You can explore ideas in a much more low commitment way. So actually, an example is my very first short story. It's a cyberpunk short story about like a celebrity who gets blackmailed with basically like a deep fake of her. And it's a very like introspective character study of like celebrity culture and identity like in a cyberpunk world. And it's not like a full premise. Like there's not a full plot or anything like that. But it was just a way for me to like explore cyberpunk as a world and as a genre. Um, and it was only after I wrote that story that I went on to write Local Heavens, which is a full cyberpunk novel. And you have to think a lot bigger. You have more characters. You have to think about an actual full plot and character arcs and all this kind of stuff. So I think it's just like the length is the main thing. It's kind of like a sprint versus a marathon. At least that's how I feel about it. And I think the reason that I personally don't feel like I'm that good at short fiction is because the way that I come up with ideas and like the kinds of stories that I want to write are ones that are just like longer. And so whenever I come up with a short, like with an idea, I feel like whenever I try to write it as a short story, the character becomes like bigger than I intended them to be. And then it doesn't really feel like a satisfying short story. It feels like an excerpt from a novel. So I think that's why I kind of prefer one over the other. But there are some authors who do both really well. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm always like, I'm obsessed with the fact that you wrote Sway with Me and then kind of built that world a little bit more, or like used it as a means of exploration for the world of Local Heavens. Like that's so cool, you know? And I think that's such a good exercise in general. If you're starting to like come up with the pieces of something that would fill up a novel or a story that would fill up a novel, but you just aren't quite sure yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely agree with a lot of what you've said. I think a short story is also, they're quicker, right? The timeline on them is quicker. Like everything about them, except for submission, is generally quicker. And so for me, that's more of like a flash of inspiration versus a novel is usually a story I've been sitting on and like thinking about for a while. Like that's something where whatever the core idea of it is, it has enough facets that I can, you know, look at it from different angles and toy around with it. And I think you just kind of you get a sense of which stories are better suited for like shorter fiction or even like a novella versus a novel with time. Because just like not every idea can carry a novel, and that's okay.
I agree. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That was our last question before we go into a new sprint. Any preferences on length?
I thought 20 was okay, but I'm okay to do longer. It's up to you guys.
I might do 25 just because I'm like, okay. I track my daily sprints in a specific way, where I do them by the quarter of an hour. So
okay.
I know it is really specific, but I think 20 plus 25 is 45, so I should be good. All right, let's get into it. Cool. Nice.
The birds.
No.
That was fast.
I know
felt
that
fast.
so quick.
Yeah.
Were you pretty? How did that go for you, Chris?
It was okay. I think I read for half of it. I'm reading Rebecca right now. So good.
How are you enjoying that?
I love it. It's longer than I thought it was, because I was reading the ebook and then I bought the physical book. It's like pretty long, but it's good. Everyone was telling me to read it because I asked for like Gothic recommendations. And yeah, I really like it. God. Oh my God, sorry. My mic is so far away. Can you even hear me?
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yay.
Yeah, Rebecca's so good. I haven't finished it because it's also like very densely written and like
it is, but I also like there was like 1 year where I only read F. Scott Fitzgerald, and
so true. Everything
in comparison to him is like very easy to read.
So true. Honestly, I love that for you.
Yeah.
How was the sprint for everyone else? Feel free to drop in chat how far you got. I'm stuck on a chapter, I think.
Me too. I've been trying to start this chapter for 3 days, I think.
Oh no. Tell me more about your stuckness.
I'm like, I just wrote a really high action scene, or I ended basically like the 70% or maybe 75% like big scene. And I'm kind of writing like a transition chapter and it's just like boring. I'm bored. That's all.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Transition chapters are some of the hardest to write for real. Like,
yeah.
What do we even do with that? Especially after like
I feel like I need to make use of it, but I don't know like what to do. Like, yeah, I just don't know what to do.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Do you mostly do like transition chapters with a lot of character work in them?
I feel like that's how to make those chapters feel meaningful. Is to like advance if the plot isn't necessarily advancing in like a really high stakes way, then I feel like I need to use the time to like build depth with the characters. But there's too many characters in this book. I think I'm gonna have to cut some out, but it's like a later draft problem.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wait, what chapter are you struggling with?
It's
well, you're doing revision, right?
Yeah, I'm doing revision for MOTHSBLOOD right now. It was going so well. Like I was flying through it. This is my first pass, and I'm at the start.
Wait, what part of the
Act
book are you in?
5. I'm at the start of Act 5.
Oh, so you're like far in it, yeah.
Yeah. I got really far. I flew through Act 4. That one was like really easy because I knew exactly what I was gonna do. And then I got to this like first part of Act 5, and basically the way the book is structured is that like Act 4 is not a fun time. Like the Lark is really going through it. And then Act 5, she kind of like starts to have some realizations.
Yeah.
She's realizing some stuff. Wow, my AirPod just fell out. I hate Apple. I say as I'm saving up for an iMac because I want a desktop computer. But at the start of Act 5, I feel like there's just so much like housekeeping to do to get the reader into her like headspace and how she's going to proceed, because it's like now she's starting to make a plan for like what to do to get out of this situation. Sorry, I have to be vague, but I hope that illustrates what's happening. But the plan before was like not, for some reason I just like didn't describe it at all. I just like went into like, you know how in a heist there's the planning scene and then you see the heist? I just went straight to, there isn't a heist, but like I went to straight up like what the action, right, of like what she does instead of having her like think. Now I have to include the thinking.
Why are we the same writer? Oh my god, I feel like I'm having war flashbacks to my dev edit.
Oh my gosh. All writers are the same writer, I think. We all go through the same thing, but we're also so tragically different that we can't help each other.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where you as the writer know your character and like their thought process, and sometimes you forget that like, oh, there's like a logical leap here that I thought I didn't have to like explore on page, but it turns out I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like also What just happened? What did I just do?
Why?
I just no, I didn't close this tab, but it's gone. Hello? Wait.
Why?
Split screening right now. Like I have my monitor and my laptop and
Oh
geez. Well, that's a problem. I can't access. This is actually the silliest problem that anyone's ever had. This is so silly and ridiculous. I cannot. Okay, there we go. I just moved my window with the StreamYard in it in the wrong direction. Access it again. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I can't remember. Editing, dev edits, characters.
Dev edits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like dev edits, and I've gotten really good editorial feedback. So I feel like I'm making the book stronger, which is helpful.
Yeah.
It's just, it's such a grind sometimes. And I feel like if it were up to me, this is the point where I'd start switching gears. I like to bounce between projects a little bit just to stay fresh. And I can't do that because of deadlines. But, just gotta live with it. I'm a professional and this is a job. So just gotta do it.
I believe in you.
Thank you. I'm very close. It's just of course there's one kind of arbitrary thing that I'm stuck on and can't figure out, of course, with
yeah.
Well,
I also find that whenever I have to write a lot of new stuff into what I thought was a revised draft, I get very paralyzed. It's oh, I'm writing I don't know. I guess because for Local Heavens, I wrote entirely new chapters and new scenes and stuff. And it was and I was doing that in draft 5, 6. It was,
oh
it was scary town. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never want to do that many drafts of a book ever again. I don't know how I didn't die.
That's so fair. But it's so good. And that always surprises me because I read an early version. I was like, this is the best thing ever. What could you possibly change?
Oh my God.
But I'm excited to see the changes too. It'll be reading a different
I think
story.
you're gonna be shocked. You're what the heck? Well, maybe not shocked, but I think there's a lot of new content. There's just a lot of new content.
I know about a lot of it though, right?
I guess so, but yeah.
I'll find out. I'll do a live book report.
Live. You're gonna open it and be like, why is Nick a spy? Guys, it was the draft that Lynn read it was different. It was different.
It was so good. I mean, again, current version is also going to be extremely good, but
yeah.
Nick's a spy?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
What? That's so cool though.
Kind of, yeah.
That's so badass. Because it makes sense with his skill set.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those edits where, guys, not me exposing everything that changed in revision, but it was one of those changes where when I came up with it, I was like, why was this not here since draft 1? I was kind of mad that it took me that many drafts to make that.
I know that feeling. I get that feeling a lot. I think I'm kind of having that right now. I'm like, why did I let anyone read this when it was kind of there's so many pieces missing? No wonder people can't follow the internal.
You're like, how did I get an agent? How did I sell this book? What is going
I know.
on?
What is what? Am I just that good of a scammer?
You know what though? You're gonna feel so rewarded at the end of it. You're gonna
I don't know.
I know you will. I know you will. And honestly, your book is already good. So I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there.
Thank you. I'm just kind of stressed because were the major changes that you made to Local Heavens in that dev edit process, were all of them or not, were the big ones you came up with those with your editor?
Nick definitely became a spy after we sold
unprompted.
But I did 4 or 5 rounds with my agent. Because I think the draft that you read, the first draft, it felt a lot more like a literary fiction book, minus the cyberpunk world. It was a lot more literary. So when I was editing with my agent, it was a lot of pacing stuff. And like, oh my God, I think the version that you read, like Owl Eyes wasn't even a character. Like it's just
No,
like
I got that
really
far.
yeah. And now she's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, she's not like a main character, but I think that she's important to the story. I don't know. So yeah, it was a lot of incremental changes with my agent. But you know, like during my dev edit, I wrote like an entirely new chapter. Like, yeah. But I think that was more on me. Like, I think I just like felt I got all these ideas, and it's not like my editor made me do anything. But I think the biggest things for me is that like Local Heavens basically became like a love story, like not a romance, but like definitely a love story. And I think that's what everyone was pushing me to make it.
Yeah, I
So
remember even like from
yeah.
the very beginning of like when you were querying and stuff.
Yeah,
That
I
was
was like
like,
very reluctant. I wrote a whole newsletter about this, but I was very
mm,
reluctant to write it like so explicitly as a love story, but it basically is. And I
yeah.
do think the book is better for it. I think it's
Mhm.
more emotional. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm so excited for that. I feel like it also is like in keeping with Gatsby too, because like the
Mhm.
original is so like love is
Yeah.
such a big theme, and yeah, I think it
Yeah,
would.
yeah. And I think that was the thing that was like missing from the original drafts, where it was like I needed to explore like the messiness of love and like all of the relationships, like not just
Mhm.
Nick and Gatsby and not just Nick and Daisy, but like Jordan and Nick and
Mhm.
Jordan and Daisy and
Mhm.
like Daisy and Tom. Like there's a lot of
Tom.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just like a huge, just sprawling, like rich people love drama.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's a lot of fun. Also that makes me feel better because I feel like I'm making a lot of like all of my major changes are because of me. They're not like based off of things my editorial is
Yeah.
saying.
But sometimes those changes can be fun because it's like, I don't know, you like kind of start to see your story in a different way.
Mhm.
So, but it feels really hard in the moment because you're like, oh, am I doing the right thing? So you kind of
Yeah.
just have to write through it, and then yeah, you'll
Yeah.
get
I think I
there.
trust editorial to be like, you shouldn't have done that. So we'll
I'm
see, I
sure they
guess.
won't say that. No, they won't say that.
Oh my god. I want them to though. If it's like not if it doesn't work, if it's not good, like my
Mm.
overwhelming preference is to have someone be upfront with me because
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that
one,
makes sense.
I don't catch a lot of like subtlety sometimes, exposing myself
Mm.
as neurodivergent, but like if
Yeah.
people are too sugarcoaty, like I don't understand what they're telling me, like I can't see through
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And two, like yeah, I just ultimately I want the book to be better.
Yeah.
I don't want people to be like handling me with kid gloves because of some author ego that I don't have because I don't like
Oh,
my own work.
I'm sure they will. I don't think I've had that experience, at
That's
least.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was reading this on Reddit. It's like maybe some other authors kind of in our shoes. Not me, so this isn't speaking from personal experience at all. But
Mhm.
they were like people won't tell you things sometimes in this business if it's not a good thing, like sales numbers,
Mm.
that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, "Oh, but we want to be treated as professionals. Like this is a job
Yeah.
and we want to be
Yeah.
treated, you know, one
Mhm.
like do you respect me enough to be upfront with me about things going poorly?"
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And two, do you respect me enough to like expect me to be able to handle that? Like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
of course
That's
there
true.
have been bad players who haven't taken the slightest
Yeah.
inconvenience in this industry well and have
Yeah.
made a big fuss about it, but ultimately I think most writers do they do want the truth and that extends to editorial as
Yeah.
well.
And I think it's like, yeah, I wouldn't wanna be, like, not told things
Yeah,
upfront, you know?
I
Yeah.
agree. I think that's a conversation I've had with pretty much everyone I've gone into like business with, like my
Mhm.
agent, um,
Yeah.
editorial. Yeah, like I just want to know stuff and I want to be kept in the loop. Not if it's like,
Yeah.
not if it's an inconvenience to other people. Like I don't want
Yes,
to be
yes,
that
yes, yes.
demanding, but like you
Yeah.
don't have to keep stuff
Yeah.
from me.
I don't know if I'd want access to my sales numbers, but
Mm,
if I asked about them, I would like to be told. Like, I wouldn't wanna be
yeah.
told from kind of vague Like if things are going so badly, like I would like to be told that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the not knowing would be worse
Yeah.
because I just
Mhm.
catastrophize, like,
Like,
you know,
I do
just
think in
sit
trad
there.
pub, like, you are largely left out of things.
Yeah.
Like, you just, like, don't know what's going on until something happens, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
I've heard that's especially the case for, like, foreign I haven't gotten any, like, you know, movement
Yeah.
on, like, translation deals, but if, for example, like, France picks up your book, they're probably not
Yeah.
gonna tell you a damn word.
No.
Maybe a
No.
cover, and you don't get input, and then it just publishes.
Honestly, like, I never know what's going on. Like, I've had people be like, "Oh, can I buy the book from this country?" And it's like, "Girl, I wish I knew." Like, all I know is that, like, yeah, like, I have a foreign rights agent, and they pitch it, and I will not hear a damn thing unless there's an offer, basically.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
even my audiobook, like, I was like, yeah, like, I didn't know anything until there was an audiobook offer, like, sitting in my inbox. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Wait, is the
Weird
audiobook news,
industry.
like do we know about that?
Oh, like, yeah, I mean, I'm it's not that I'm not allowed to say because it's already up on retailers, so it's, like, not a secret, but
I
yeah,
saw it
there's,
on
like
Goodreads. I was like, "Oh, it's, like, listed
yeah,
as
but,
a
like, there
version."
is gonna be an audiobook. I am allowed to say there is gonna be an audiobook,
I'm
and
so
maybe a narrator has already been casted, maybe.
excited.
So,
More
yeah.
updates soon. Everyone go subscribe to Chris so you can hear all of the local heavens updates. Okay, do you wanna maybe answer a couple questions and then we
Oh,
can,
yeah.
wrap up?
Yes.
Cool. We have a question from Ari from so long ago. I'm so sorry. But would you classify yourselves as underwriters or overwriters? If you identify as either, what are things you use to combat that in your writing? I feel like we know each other so well that I could answer this question for you.
Yeah. Lynn is an underwriter.
Chris is an overwriter.
Yeah.
But
I'm
like
an
barely.
overwriter, but, like, like, okay, Local Heaven's first draft was 105K. The final draft is 117K.
Yeah,
So
not even
things always grow in revision, but I'm definitely not an underwriter. And yeah, because I just like I don't know. I just feel the need like sometimes I write scenes like knowing that they're probably gonna get cut
that.
because I have to. Like I just need to explore the idea, you know?
I think that's also why you're at like Sway with me and like yeah, you have that like
Yeah.
explorer's instinct. I'm like, I want to slap out the story. This, and this happens. I'm done. That's my
Yeah.
first
Which is
draft.
fine too, you know?
Oh my gosh. Some things to combat that. Uh I think I just am aware of it and I tackle it in
Yeah.
revision. Like it's always a future problem. Like I
Yeah.
really um yeah. I think you just have to write how you write for especially for your initial draft and then fix it later. Fix
Yeah.
it in post.
I agree.
Mhm. Um, ooh, I think this one would be an interesting one for you. What helps you guys develop your writing ability in a specific kind of prose? For example, I find navel gazing so difficult for me to express on the page without finding it so melodramatic.
What does navel gazing mean again?
It's like, okay, wait, how do I explain this? I think it's a term for like kind of being stuck in your own thoughts or like that
Oh,
metacognition where you're just, maybe I don't know.
like lots of
Um,
introspection? Like
Yeah, but, like, specifically about yourself or your situation, so, like, self-absorbed
mm,
introspection. Please correct me if I'm wrong,
oh,
I do not wanna give
self-indulgent or excessive contemplation of oneself or a single issue at the expense of a wider view.
Okay.
Guys. Sorry. I'm just like thinking about Local Heavens and I'm like, yeah, if you don't like navel gazing, like do not be reading Nick Carraway. Like just don't be doing it. Anyways, okay, so the question was how to develop your writing ability in a specific kind of prose. Is that like voice?
I think so, yeah.
Mm,
I was thinking of your vocal training kinda stuff and what you did for Local
yeah.
Heavens.
I don't know. I think when I want to write a certain way, like I literally just have to read a lot of that because I always absorb whatever I'm reading. Like guys, like I read Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, and then I wrote 4,000 words of a romance novel. I'm never gonna publish it. But I just like, I was like, ooh, this voice is so fun, and it's just like, yeah, you know, that like contemporary romance voice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that like for me, it's like I have to read. That's why like the book that I'm writing right now is like pretty. It has a lot of like gothic, I think, atmosphere, and so I realized that I have to be reading more gothic fiction, and that's why the voice wasn't coming naturally to me. Specifically for like very introspective writing, you kind of have to like find an author whose voice you like and does it well. Yeah. But also I find that there are some days where, oh, my writing does feel melodramatic, and then other days where it doesn't. Like it kind of depends. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. For navel gazing specifically, or like that introspection, interiority, it's also about like how natural it sounds. I think I'm very much at
Yeah.
the end of the day, like for me personally, so this might not extend to other people. Like I hear everything. It's very writing and
Yeah.
reading are very like auditory experiences for me. Also because I can't like see images very well in my mind,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
everyone thinks I'm so full of crap when I say that, and I'm
No.
not. I can't see
It's a
stuff in
real
my brain very
thing.
well. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like 100% aphantasia, I don't think, but like my
Yeah.
thoughts are very word focused.
Yeah.
So I think it's how you like I don't know, like how natural you can make it sound. Like
I also okay, so for melodrama specifically, I find that that happens when it feels like what you're writing is like the emotions aren't proportionate to the stakes in your story.
mhm.
Um so I don't like this is just like me speaking for myself. Like I find that when I'm writing something that feels like stupidly dramatic, it's usually because I like some other part of the story feels like I haven't earned all of this, you know, emotional writing, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Because I
Yeah,
think
yeah. So
that's where melodrama comes from. It's when like
exactly.
something feels more dramatic than it is.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Like you see in I would say like dramas or soap operas. Soap operas do it a lot. Like
Yeah.
a character will like break something over something relatively silly. I think that
Yeah.
proportionality is really important to avoid
Yeah.
beats like that where it's like, oh, this is veering into ridiculous. Because for me, I'm like, I like melodrama. I like a dramatic story. I don't mind it as much.
Yeah.
But I think when it's like silly, that's kind of you're
Yeah.
going a little too far.
Yeah.
Now I have to go check my scene where someone breaks something in a fit of emotional distress. Whoops. Okay, we have a question here from Hassan. Thank you for the super. Again, you guys don't have to do this, but it is appreciated and it's very generous. How do you kill off a main antagonist but almost make it tragic? I would say probably the most efficient ways to make sure that antagonist has like established complicated relationships with like characters that you do care about in the
Yeah.
story. So it's more about how it impacts other people,
Mhm.
or how maybe it impacts society. So it's death itself is not necessarily like a tragic thing. It happens to everyone, but the impact of someone dying or being taken away from this world is usually what is upsetting about death. So you can apply
Yeah.
that to an antagonist as well as a protagonist, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add to that one?
I'm trying to think, but I don't know. I guess like I don't really think about characters as like antagonists. I don't know.
Mm.
Who's the antagonist
Oh,
of Local Heavens? Like there's like I don't know. That's a
Tom.
complicated question. Tom, yeah. You know what's
Gatsby for
funny?
being
I
rich.
Gatsby for being rich. Yeah, I don't know. So, okay. We all if you read Gatsby, you know like Tom is like a racist, like white supremacist, like no one likes Tom. And what's funny
Mhm.
is that one of my friends who read like the first draft of the book, she read like the very last like towards the end there's like you might not remember it, but like there's a chapter that's like Tom's last chapter. And my friend texted me after she read it and she was like, I cried. I was like, why did you cry reading that chapter? And I think it's because like, it's just, yeah, when you think about all of your characters, everyone has like flaws. And I think flaws make characters compelling. So you can like understand and maybe even feel bad for a character who's like not a good person. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I joke. I mean, like, I loved Gatsby and even Tom. Just hate them on principle.
Yeah.
And that's, they're fictional, so it's fine. I would say in Local Heavens, the antagonist is maybe just, it's like that force, of like capitalism.
It's
like
society.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. But like,
I think that's like one thing that was really hard, I think, with Local Heavens, because it's like, it's not really, I think in commercial fiction, there's always an antagonist, like a very specific antagonist. But I think that, yeah, in Local Heavens, it's just like, it's just life. Yeah.
But that's what makes it so like good and relatable, because life is the antagonist for all of us. And society is the antagonist for all of us. I mean, I don't know. I also do have some ops who are people, but that's just me.
I'm dead.
Not everyone does. Okay, I think we hit the end of questions. So we're done. That's it. Thank you so much to everyone for coming. Thank you as well to anyone watching this on the replay. I hope you guys had some nice productive streams. And sorry to anyone whose questions we didn't get to. I get really bad at like scrolling through the chat too quickly and skipping over questions.
All good.
But you can find both of us on our YouTube channels and pre-order Local Heavens, request it on NetGalley, add it on Goodreads. It's such a good book. It will change your life and your perspective.
Okay.
Before I read it.
I don't know if it'll change your life. This is false advertising, you guys.
No, this is my real experience. Yeah, just look it up and support Chris. Anything else you want to plug?
No, you like literally did all my plugs for me. Like, yeah, pre-order my book, add it on Goodreads, etc.
I pre-ordered, and I've heard on the streets that there's like a pre-order incentive that may or may not be announced.
It hasn't been announced yet, but if you do pre-order, make sure you save your receipts, like screenshot your receipts, etc., because there will be some stuff that we'll give away.
I'm excited. I've actually never gotten like pre-order incentives for a book before, so it's gonna be exciting. Okay, well, have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.